the idea expressed in this week's Parsha about Hashem's confidence in the Yidden, that the Yidden have belief and trust in the Emunah, in the Geula. That's their Emunah and Bitochon in the Eibishter. And as we know that in the merit of their Emunah and Bitochon in Hashem, that's why they merited the departing from Golus. And to such a degree, the Rebbe begins that the reason why Yidden have this Emunah, that they'll be taken out of Golus, is because the entire idea of Golus is something that's completely foreign to the Yidden. That's what we're about to begin. We're going to start from the bottom of the first column, Ois Vav, 2 lines from the bottom. And earlier in the Sicha, the Rebbe spoke about that it's Yidden are called Bnei Yisrael, and because they're Bnei Yisrael, that they are children of the Abbas, and the Abbas is the idea of Yisrael, like we'll soon going to explain also. So therefore, we could explain a very interesting expression that's used at the beginning of our Parsha. Right away at the beginning of the Parsha, it says, Eilu Bnei Yisrael, Eilu Bnei Yisrael, Haboim Mitzrayim. These are the Bnei Yisrael that are coming into Egypt. Why does it say in present tense? Haboim. The Medrash says that it should have said Bo'u. This is the beginning of our parsha, the beginning of the story right before Moshe Rabbeinu and his birth and so on. This is many, many years beforehand the Yidden came to Mitzrayim. Why does it say Haboim in the present tense? So the Medrash says it was by the Yidden as if they had just now come into Mitzrayim, because it says the enslavement did not begin until the last of the Shvatim died, etc. So the Rebbe expands this to mean that by a Yid, every moment in Golus is unnatural for them, and it feels as if they just came today, and because they feel like they came today, they have utter and complete confidence and trust that they are going out. Al-Pizeh, again, 2 lines in the bottom of the first column. Al-Pizeh we explain the exact language that says coming, that they're coming into Mitzrayim in present tense. Shagam la'achrei sheyomim rabim hoylam shebol Mitzrayim, top of the second column. Even after many days passed since they came into Egypt, it's as if that very day the Yidden entered Mitzrayim. How come? Why would they have this type of attitude that we don't belong here? This is unnatural for us to be in Mitzrayim. Kivin shebnei Yisrael, since the children of Yisrael, the Rebbe earlier in the Sicha speaks about there's a difference when we use the term Bnei Yaakov or Yaakov Ubeisebo or Bnei Yaakov, it says, but over here the point is Bnei Yisrael, that meaning that they are children of Shemekablim B'Yerusha Kol Inyonei Avos. Being children receive as an inheritance all matters of the forefathers. Yisrael, the idea of the name Yisrael, which indicates Kisarisa Goyim, which indicates that you battled and overcame, and Li Roish, Yisrael is also the letters that mean to me ahead. Hare mitzad bechinas Yisrael shebehem mitzius ma'amitis, because of the Yisrael that is it to be found in every Yid, because we are the children of Yisrael, we inherit Yisrael. And that's our true being. Ein lam shayches klal v'klal Mitzrayim. Yidden have no connection whatsoever with Mitzrayim. They don't belong in Egypt. This is an unnatural state for them. Ubiyosam leMitzrayim, and their arrival to Mitzrayim, like we say, Bnei Yisrael Haboim Mitzrayim, are the children of Yisrael that are coming into Egypt. Hu inyan shel chidush etzlam. This is something like out of the ordinary. This is like a new thing. It's an impossibility by them. Kivim sad asvam einlam shayches leMitzrayim. Since on their own they have no association with Mitzrayim, with Egypt. Therefore, gam kishnim soim Mitzrayim, even when they find themselves in Egypt, heim begols Mitzrayim v'heim begols shalach rezad l'gols ha'achra, and whether they find themselves in the exile in Mitzrayim then, or in the following exiles, including this final exile, Yomim Rabim, like quoting the Medrash, even if they're there many days, they're there a long time, like the Medrash says, and therefore, why do you call it Haboyim Mitzrayim, that they're coming present tense? The Medrash says as if that very day the Yidden entered Egypt. Because their true being as children of Yisrael is always above any connection to Egypt. And their being in Egypt is a novel thing. It's out of the ordinary. And therefore, every additional day that they find themselves in Egypt, even after many days, until the end of the time of Golus, it could be a long time. Their feeling, their attitude is that this is unnatural for me, and it's as if today I entered Mitzrayim. Second from the last paragraph on the page. This is also an empowerment. To avoid of the children in drawing down and the revelation of godliness down here below. Until such a level that's so low that there's nothing lower than it. Skip the parentheses, 2 lines. Since because the true being, who they really are, they're not. They have no association with Egypt. And the fact that their being in Mitzrayim, not their true place, is in a way that they are coming to Mitzrayim in present tense, as if that very day they entered Egypt, and this very day, in that very moment, the Rebbe adds, it's not just that very day, but it's in the present tense of that day, not in the past of that day. An hour goes already the past of that day. But it's haboy in present tense, means this very moment of that very day. It's emphasized even more so, the purpose and the goal of their coming to Mitzrayim in this very moment. Let's skip the parentheses to the next page, which is that Yimalu Shlichus Shal Kadosh Baruch Hu lastly is Baruch Dir B'Tachtonim, that he will fulfill the mission of Hashem to make for him a home down here below. Val Derech Zeh, in a similar vein, B'chol Rega V'Rega Sheboy Mitzrayim B'Chodesh, every single moment that we are anew arriving in Mitzrayim, arriving in Egypt, arriving in exile, V'ad L'Rega Achrin Dezman HaGolus, until the final moment of the time of Golus, it's considered as if we just now are arriving there. Even after the entire length and difficulty of the exile. The whole idea of exile does not apply to them. They have no association with them, with Golus. And Golus is not their place. So that while being in exile, this moment, Rega Achrin Shal HaGolus, the final moment of the Golus, it's not considered a natural continuation of the lengthy Golus and the difficult Golus. It's considered a totally new thing, a totally new event. And the Rebbe adds in the footnote, and therefore, since they do not see it as a continuously long exile, but every single moment of exile seems to be like we just now arrived, so it doesn't weaken, he says in footnote 52, in our commitment and our power and observance to the mitzvahs, and it doesn't weaken our great belief. Let's look in the end of footnote 52 on the bottom of the column. It doesn't weaken the strong faith in the coming of Mashiach and looking forward to his coming. If we look at the Golus as one long, lengthy period of time, so then, it's been so long, it's very hard to look forward and hope and believe he's coming any minute. But if we look at this moment in Golus and every moment in Golus as an anomaly, as an exception, as something not normal, so then what happens is that we are now, our attitude of Golus is we just got here. Can you imagine the first moment of Golus? That's now. Now is the first moment of Golus. If now is the first moment of Golus, so of course I'm looking forward to the fact the Geula is coming right away. Back to the text, and then he continues in the middle of the second paragraph on the first column. Ella matzav chadash, it's a new state, a new situation. Ki'ilu oise yom v'oise rega nichsnu mitzrayim. It's as if this very day, and like we mentioned before, this very moment, they entered into Egypt. Therefore, the avodah throughout the entire time of Golus is accomplished. The avodah is with the entire power and the entire strength. And out of a powerful faith and trust in the coming of Mashiach. A strong looking forward and hope to his coming immediately, mamish, because we are living as if we are experiencing as if we just came into Golus. So the Rebbe is now going to say an amazing chiddush, that we know all the famous Maimer Chazal that says B'chol dor v'dor chayev adam liras es atzma ki'ilu hu yotza hayom Mitzrayim. Every generation, a person has to envision himself as if he came out this generation out of Mitzrayim, and one of the ways how we do that is by the Seder, but b'chlal every single throughout the year. And the Alter Rebbe adds, it's not just every single day, but every single generation, but the Alter Rebbe explains it means every single day. So the Rebbe adds another component. It's not just that we're looking at it as every single moment we went out of Mitzrayim, but we look at it that every single moment we just came to Mitzrayim and just left Mitzrayim. It's an amazing insight. Let's look inside. The explanation of this matter in the Avodah Vayid every single day. Mishnah, it's brought down the Mishnah in every single generation. Rabbeinu Azak and the Alter Rebbe explains that it doesn't mean literally just in once in a generation a person imagines it, but the meaning of this Maimer Chazal is that every single day a person is obligated to see himself as if today he left Mitzrayim. Again, this is something that the Alter Rebbe adds the word Hayom to that Maimer Chazal. What is that talking about? The Alter Rebbe says it's talking about the context of it. And Tanya is that the Nefesh Elokis is every single day leaving the confines and the Egypt of the body to free itself in connecting with Hashem. Let's skip over to the last paragraph. Yesh Loimar, and we could say the last column, the last paragraph on the first column. Included in this thing that we're saying that a person has to see himself as if he left today Egypt. Included in that Maimer Chazal is also that in that very day, or that very day prior to that, he entered Mitzrayim. The exit from Mitzrayim, the leaving Mitzrayim, is only applicable after entering Mitzrayim. Since every single day he's leaving Egypt. So yesterday he left Egypt, 2 days ago he left Egypt, a week ago he left Egypt, a year ago he left Egypt. So what happened? Since then he entered Egypt. It's not possible that the person is going to leave Mitzrayim today unless he already entered Mitzrayim today because yesterday he already left. The second paragraph on the second column, Kloimer, this means to say, Hakavon kan hiloy daktrugam lachar yitzim Mitzrayim esma. Nimtzayim Mitzrayim. The intention over here is not just that, comparatively speaking, in comparison to his leaving Egypt yesterday, he still has to leave Egypt today. Why? It means he's leaving Egypt on a higher level. Because since his level today in comparison to his level yesterday, so even though for his yesterday's level he considered breaking out of his confines, but now on a higher level he's still confined in some type of way, which is the word Mitzrayim from the word straits and narrowness and confines. If that is the case, Mudgish hemshech hamatziv kakoidim shnimtzim Mitzrayim v'lo yaknis l'Mitzrayim mechodesh. So then, what's emphasized is the continuation, the previous state that he's in Egypt, and not the entrance to Egypt anew. Ela kavonehi, but rather the Rebbe says the intention over here is sheyoysim Mitzrayim hayoymu. His being in Egypt today is loy hemshech l'matziv koidim el matziv chodesh. It's not a continuation of his previous state, but it's a new state. As if that very day he entered Mitzrayim. The entire situation, or scenario that he finds himself in Egypt, even prior to that, it's something novel for the person's existence, that he's all not applicable to the idea of Mitzrayim. So how could that be? How is it possible? So the Rebbe goes on to explain that a Yid, we say every single day, he's considered like a new creation. Why is that so? Because he, like we say in the Birch Shachar, the neshama you placed in me is pure, and then that's a level of the essence of the soul and the part of neshama above, and that descends every single morning anew, that his chel kalakak comes down into him. So because of that, the fact that he was yesterday in Mitzrayim, that was like undone, because now he's again a new neshama and a new creation. So the fact that previously he was in a state of being in Egypt, like we said, Alter Rebbe says he was imprisoned by his body and his animal soul, etc., etc. This was not something having to do with today. This was something that occurred yesterday, and now he's a new person. So the fact that he has to see himself going out in Mitzrayim is because he went again into Mitzrayim. So therefore, on a daily basis, he has this experience that Egypt is not something natural to him. Being confined spiritually, physically, all these confinements is unnatural and untrue and unreal. And in reality, his state is being someone that is free. It reminds me also, Shalmardcher Bashkin in his book uses the term that he finds himself, he always is using this term, he's not in prison, but he's in a place called prison. We are all in a place called prison, in a place called Mitzrayim, the Guf, the Nefesh Bahamis, the Golus. These are all locations where Hashem placed us in, but we are not imprisoned. We are really, the entire Mitzrayim state is unnatural to us. So he says, now let's skip over to the second paragraph from the bottom of the page, Ois Tes. Yesh lahoisif, we can add, the Rebbe says, that what we said before in the explanation of the Jewish, the sons of Yisrael, that are coming to Egypt. Even after they're finding themselves in Egypt, Yomim Rabim, many days. The Medrash says, it's as if that very day they entered Egypt. Since the Jewish people have no association with Egypt, this is also emphasized in the continuation of the parsha and the events that say later. That's right away at the beginning. It's first pasuk. Later on, there was an event that happened with Moshe that emphasized this even more. When Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu to tell the Yidden the good news about the redemption, and he told them, quote, Lech vasafta zikni Yisrael, go and gather the elders of the Yidden. V'amarta leim, and tell them, Hashem alakei avosechem nira alai. Hashem, the God of your forefathers, appeared to me. Alakei Avram, alakei Yitzchak, alakei Yankov, the God of Avram, the God of Yitzchak, the God of Yankov. Lamer to say, Pocket bakati eschem, remember, I have remembered you. V'sham'u, and they will listen. L'koilecha, they will listen to your voice. In other words, even though, a guy all of a sudden is going to come to you and say, hey, the Eibusher appeared to me and said, we're taking you out of Golas. Who's going to listen to me? So the Eibusher tells him, don't worry, they're going to listen to you. Hey, but Moshe Rabbeinu was doubtful. Hey, Shav Moshe LaKadosh Baruch Hu, top of the next page, Moshe Rabbeinu replied to Hashem, V'hein lo yaminu li. They will not believe me. They won't listen to my voice. They'll tell me, you're nuts. You're a crazy guy. You're a homeless guy off the street saying that God revealed himself to you. Hashem did not reveal himself to you. This is Moshe Rabbeinu knew what he was talking about. We know what goes on. People are constantly screaming that they have visions of God talking to them. And Moshe Rabbeinu knew what Yidden would say. Yidden are skeptics. They would say right away, God revealed himself to you, right? And the next thing, I have a bridge to sell you. But the Chazal said, even though Moshe Rabbeinu was talking logic back to Hashem, but the Chazal said, at that moment, Moshe Rabbeinu said things inappropriately. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Amar Loi v'shamu l'kelecha. Hashem told him. He didn't. It's a very interesting thing. Hashem didn't just tell him, go tell the Eden such and such, which we find throughout the Torah is usually the way the message goes. It says, Hashem told Moshe, tell the Eden, da-da-da-da-da, and then he did it. Here, Hashem didn't just tell Moshe, go tell the Eden, but Hashem told him and assured him, this is what's going to happen. They will listen to you. Hashem told you that they're going to listen to you. V'hu amar v'hein lo yaminu li. And what was Moshe's response? You got to tell me they're going to listen to me. I know them better. They're not going to listen to me. What? Moshe Rabbeinu speaks this way. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Omer, Hashem says, hey, maminim, re'aminim, they are believers, children of believers. Maminim, how do you know that they are believers? Shenemar v'yamin ha'am, like it says later on the parsha, that the nation believed. And then, and it says, b'nei maminim, the children of believers, Shenemar v'hemin b'Hashem, that it says about Avraham Avinu, that he believed Hashem when Hashem promised him the promises that he made to Avraham Avinu. It was revealed, it was known before Hashem that Yidden will be believed. Amar Loi, so Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu, Hein maminim b'nei maminim chulu, they are believers, children of believers. So therefore, the Medrash says, Moshe Rabbeinu did not have the faith in the Yidden that the Yidden had in the Eibishter, and that the Eibishter had in the faith of the Yidden and the Eibishter. So the Maharsha, a commentary on the Gemara, asks on this. What Moshe Rabbeinu was really so terrible in saying this? The Maharsha says, what was Moshe's sin over here? Even though in heaven's mind, Hashem, who knows the Eden, Hashem knew that they would believe him. By Moshe Rabbeinu was not something that was revealed and known. So why was he rebuked for doubting the Eibishter, and that's why doubting the Yidden, and therefore the continuous thing was his hand turned into snow, and also the snake shows on Lashon Hara, and he had the leprosy in his hand. All these things have to do with Lashon Hara. V'oid, my but here the Marshab asks even a stronger question. The Medrash brings a proof that they were believers because what it says later. How do we bring a proof that the Yidden are considered believers from what it says later, not at present, but later it says that the nation believed? It says after Moshe Rabbeinu did the miracles before the nation and so on. Moshe Rabbeinu was saying the same thing. He wasn't saying that they wouldn't believe me at all. He was saying without a sign, without a miracle, they won't believe me. And that was what he was telling Hashem. Give me a sign that I can show them, because that's the only way they'll believe him. They'll believe me. So how does the Medrash go ahead and say, how do we know that they're believers because they believed after the miracle? It's not a proof to what Moshe Rabbeinu's problem was. Metaritz in the Marsha answers she'amru b'medrashes, that in the Medrash it's brought down. Ve'vir Rashi b'chumash, and Rashi brings it down the Chumash. Sha'Kadosh Baruch Hu Amar LaMoshe, that Hashem told Moshe v'shamu l'keilecha, that they will listen to your voice. Why will they listen to your voice? Not they will listen to the signs, but the voice of Moshe Rabbeinu. What he says will impress them. Shayasiman Masur biyad ziknei Yisrael. There was a sign in that the elders had. Shabaloshin pocket pakadati yu negolim. That with the expression, remember, I will remember, that's how they'll be redeemed. Amar, and therefore it said, Shekvar Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu LaMoshe v'shamu l'keilecha v'gaimer, that Hashem already told Moshe that they'll listen to your voice. So that's the Marsha is emphasizing. The problem over here is that Moshe was told, don't worry, they'll listen to your voice, you don't need the miracles. And that's why it's explained also over here that they are children of believers. What's the point of saying that they are children of believers? What it means is the sign that they knew that if someone will come and say pocket bakadati, this means that he will be the redeemer. So that's why it's important to emphasize not just that they are maminim, but they are children of maminim, meaning they already have this transmitted. It's already a tradition. They are children of those believers that already transmitted to them. There's going to be coming someone with the words pocket bakati. So the Rebbe asks, so that's what the Marsha explains, why the Moshe Rabbeinu was considered to have done things inappropriately by responding this way to Hashem and so on. So the last paragraph on the first column, he says, we need an explanation, since he knew that there was a sign that was given over in the elders. The elders of the Yidden had the sign. That in the expression, I will remember, they will be redeemed. It's still the question on Moshe Rabbeinu. How did Moshe Taka say that way? True, the Medrash says that Moshe Rabbeinu did something inappropriate. But what was Moshe Rabbeinu thinking? What was going through Moshe Rabbeinu's mind? He knew that there was a sign that Hashem told him, the special signal saying pocket bakadati. The Yidden had this as a tradition. What else? What was Moshe Rabbeinu's problem? What was Moshe Rabbeinu's doubt? Top of the second column. Yes, Shlomo Abir B'zeh, we could say the explanation. This is Moshe HaYisafar, Moshe thought that because of the difficulty and the lengthy enslavement of the breaking labor of over 210 years, Nasa Etzlam Hashibud Ledavar Harogil. So the enslavement became normal. it became, as they say in Hebrew, chelik ma'shigra. Therefore, even when they will hear the words of Moshe that Hashem, the God of your fathers, appeared to me, to say, I've remembered you. Since they are believers, children of believers, they'll definitely believe Moshe Rabbeinu. But belief and acceptance, intellect and emotions are two separate things. Still and all, because the lengthy galus yekashalem liklight as psuras hageulam, they will have the difficulty to internalize and absorb the news of the redemption, in such a way that they will feel it, it will be felt in their heart that the time of the redemption has arrived. And the Rebbe says, as opposed to seeing an open miracle, if you see an open miracle that will blow you away, that's why Moshe Rabbeinu was asking for a sign, he says in the footnote. But that was only Moshe Rabbeinu's perspective, and it was wrong. The way Hashem said, they will listen to your voice, no need for miracles. Even after the difficulty in the length of the enslavement over 210 years, the enslavement did not become a normal part of their perspective. Because from their perspective, from their existence, because like we said before, they are Bnei Yisrael, they are children that inherit the level of Sarkeil and the level of the idea of Liroish. Their very being is that they are the opposite of exile of Egypt. Therefore, every day that the Yidden find themselves in Egypt, it's as if this day they entered Mitzrayim. So you're worried that they will not be able to absorb the fact of the redemption. No, they will be able to absorb it, because Golus was never became natural to them and never became accepted by them. When they will hear the words of Hashem that I've remembered you, surely they will listen to your voice. That will be something that will be accepted and something that will be absorbed and felt in their heart, that the time of the Geula has arrived. And therefore, the Rebbe says in footnote 83 that Moshe Rabbeinu's underestimating the commitment and the acceptance of the Yidden is, for his level, it's considered something that is considered like a sin. Oisiyud, second paragraph from the end of the page. Similarly, at the conclusion of the parsha, Moshe Rabbeinu returned to Hashem, and he said, Adnai, Hashem, why have you done bad to this nation? From when I've come to Pari to speak in your name, he made it bad for this nation. And saving, you do not save your nation. Hashem said to Moshe, now you'll see what I will do to Pari. With a strong and mighty hand he will send them out. And with a strong hand he will chase them out of his land. So here's what the Rebbe explains about this part. Even when it was increased even more so in the difficulty of the enslavement. To such degree did the enslavement become more difficult. Moshe Rabbeinu Moshe Rabbeinu, who's the level of Chachma of Kedusha. He was an embodiment of Chachma Datzilus, Chassidus says. The total pure wisdom of godliness. He says that he cannot see that Hashem is saving the Yidden. Saving you have not saved your nation. Hashem tells him, Ata tira goymer. Ata achshav deik take from yad. Now you will see. Now, immediately. From a state of the overpowering of the difficulty of the enslavement, very much so, to a state of redemption. You will see a change from one extreme to another extreme. And the reason why this will be like the continuation of the pasuk at the beginning of the beginning of Parsha Va'era, which the Rebbe said is Fabrengen on Shabbos. So Shabbos by Mincha, we read in next week's Parsha. Va'era Avram Yitzchak Yankov. I appeared to Avram, Yitzchak, Yankov. El Ha'avos. Rashi adds, this means I appeared to the forefathers. V'gaman nishomati asnakas bnei Yisrael. And also I heard the suffering of the crying out of the children of Yisrael. L'chein Aimer lebnei Yisrael. Therefore, tell the children of Yisrael, Ni Hashem v'yitzeis yeschem mitach tzivus matzayim v'yitzalti v'goymer. I will take them out from under the burdens of Egypt, and I will save them. Kol adal d'shein shel gula. All the 4 different expressions of redemption is over there. So there's a famous thing that the Mefarshim talk about it, and the Rebbe talks about it a lot. On the pasuk Va'era al Avram al Yitzchak al Yankov, Rashi explains El Ha'avis, to the forefathers. What's the need of Rashi adding those words to the forefathers? Yes, we know Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov are our forefathers. Why does he have to explain to the forefathers? Because the emphasis is this continuation that the Yidden are like the Bnei Yisrael that we said before. They inherit from the forefathers this whole idea that Gullus is foreign to them. Hainu, this means 3 lines before Yud Aleph. Shalayoisam b'nei Yisrael b'neim shala'avis, since they are the children of Yisrael, the children of the forefathers. Einam shayachim l'Mitzrayim. The whole idea of Egypt is foreign to them. V'lachein v'yitzeis yeschem. Therefore, I will take you out. The Inyan zeh mudgish gam b'Haftorah siyum v'chosem ha'parsha. This is also emphasized in the Haftorah, which is considered the conclusion and the end and the seal of the Torah portion. The Pirush HaKos V'Aboim Yashush Yankiv Yotzu Parach Yisrael, an explanation of the pasuk, it says in Haftorah, those that come into Egypt, the Yaakov will take root and it will sprout and blossom Yisrael. Shebas Cholos Haftorah, we find this at the beginning of the Haftorah. Mevur B'Drush Chassidus is explained in Amar Chassidus, top of the second column should be as Mitzrayim. The coming into Mitzrayim, Haboim Mitzrayim, but those that come into Egypt, he kamashal ha'shrosh, it's like a seed and a sapling taking root. Yashrish Yaakov, that Yaakov takes root. Shaidei zetiyat smicha, through taking root. What's the purpose of something taking root? Why do we stick a seed or a sapling in the ground? Yatzitzu parach Yisrael, but Ibu Gadol, to cause the blossoming, the sprouting, the blossoming of Yidden much greater. We put one tiny seed in the ground, and what comes out of it is a lot more. So the same thing, we are planted in Golus to be able to have a greater blossoming. From Yaakov will turn into Yisrael, as he's about to explain. We can explain the exact language that says, again, Haboim, those that come, and also that says Yaakov will take root. But who will sprout and blossom? Yisrael. Like we said earlier in the Sicha, that Yisrael is completely removed from Mitzrayim. Earlier in the Sicha, he explained that what level of the Yidden can enter Mitzrayim, that's the level that has to do with the heel. Like we know, Yaakov is Yud Ekev, Yashrish Yaakov. Yaakov becomes rooted. That's the level that's rooted in Golus. Skip the parentheses, 2 lines. Therefore, Gam la'achrei Shenimtsoyim b'Mitzrayim rabim, even after we find ourselves in Mitzrayim many days. It's in the way that they are coming in present tense. Their attitude is that it's as if today they're coming into Egypt. Therefore, regardless of the state and situation of Yidden during the time of exile, meaning they could chashon be many years in exile, Hashem will bring out from the small river those that are lost in the land of Syria, that has to do with the river Euphrates, until the river of Egypt, which says those that are pushed away in the land of Mitzrayim, which is going on the Nile. You will be collected from the exiles one by one, the Bnei Yisrael, and those that are lost in the land of Assyria and those that are scattered in the land of Egypt will come. Why is that so? Because we are always in the state of Yisrael. We are always in the state of recognition that Golus is unnatural, and it's as if we came today in Golus. Because every state and situation, the existence of the Yidden is complete and perfect. And it continues to explain the great quality of the Yidden at the conclusion of the Haftorah. Now the face of Yaakov will not be ashamed, and his face will not turn white in embarrassment. Because when he sees his children, that the actions of his hand within him, they will sanctify my name, Hashem says, and they will sanctify the Holy One of Yaakov, meaning Hashem, and they will give respect and honor to the God of Yisrael, meaning even in a time of exile, Yaakov Avinu, the most choicest of the forefathers, is not embarrassed from his children. Why is he not embarrassed? Because every single Yid, man and woman, is one of the creatures and makings of Hashem. And it goes without saying, and surely they will sanctify my name. And the pasuk adds, they will sanctify that which is holy to Yankov Hashem, and they will give honor and respect to the God of Yankov. Kafal Hadovar, he repeated the matter, as to give strength to it. Every single Yid sanctifies the name of Hashem in the world by saying, he says many times a day, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Malchus hu inyanoi, that the whole idea is of that pasuk is Malchus. Siyum v'chaisim psukim Malchus, which is also in the Rosh Hashanah davening, the conclusion of all the 10 psukim having to do with Malchus. We say the last one is Shema Yisrael. I've made him reign above and below to the 4 sides of the heavens. Coronating and making Hashem king in the entire world. And this is the attitude, and this is the hope and faith and belief of every single Yid in every moment of Golus, that Hashem is taking them out, because he realizes that my stay in Golus is only 1 day old, because it's completely unnatural when I woke up today that I should be in Golus. And this faith and this belief is what actually takes us out of Golus.